Hey, this is Truth Radio Network presenting Fox News. Today's broadcast is a bit unprepared, like the previous, like the most broadcasts that we do here. I have a habit of streaming consciousness. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but we're getting better every day. That's what Darkcity Radio is all about. I'm broadcasting from somewhere out there on the northeast coast of these United States, and today's conversation, what we're going to be talking about today, is a bit more. It's about Boston. All right, the same thing as usual, but we've had a few new developments. For example, apparently and conveniently enough, in New York City, there's been landing gear discovered between two buildings, jammed between two buildings, and I'm thinking, well, how convenient that the landing gear to an airplane that once crashed about 12 years ago on 9/11 in a supposed terrorist attack was just happened to be discovered 2 weeks after another terrorist attack. It seems so convenient as such. It almost seems staged. We all know America is the home of Hollywood, so who's to say that it isn't staged? That our government, in order to do things more efficiently, would prefer putting on a show rather than doing the real thing. I mean, you could orchestrate all of this, but in the end, well, anyway. That, and of course, with what's going on in Boston, as a premise to pass CISPA and ban people's, make it more difficult for people to access explosive material. So, instead of actually having to ban guns, we can make it harder for people to access the ammo to shoot. It is a background check, limiting one's ability to access explosive material, i.e. gunpowder. And so, I think that's pretty wise, actually. If you're gonna, Obama was really pissed off about the whole thing too. The gun bill didn't pass. Y'all can still get your 30-round clips and the AK-47s. Obama was real pissed about that. Apparently, 90% of America, according to CNN, supported this gun bill, and 100% of the United States government, if not 80%, supported it too. Why it didn't pass, I don't know. Blows my mind to think that, but Obama was pissed. He was really pissed off. So, with the gun bill not passing, and with CISPA not passing, seems like we got a bit to talk about here today. I have brought in a new guest into the show. It was a bit last minute, but he seems to have his own points of view, and I'd like to hear him right now. I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on in Boston, and I'd like to hear an alternative to my point of view from somebody else. Today we have Brandon Parsons of Facebook. What you got to say, Brandon?
Well, I don't know how much our views differ on Boston. I think we probably agree on a lot. The only difference might be is how we interpret the event and how we look at it in a broader scheme of things. And I think that the important thing that I've taken from Boston, again, I've seen a lot of people asking a lot of different questions. You know, was the bag over here? Was this guy an actor? Was this person not an actor? I mean, we've gone through all these questions. We do this every time a major event happens. And I think we're asking all the wrong questions. They're irrelevant. It doesn't matter where the bag was. It doesn't matter whether this person was an actor or not. What matters to me is the only thing that matters, and that is the martial law rug that they rolled out right after the event happened. And that is what we should be concerned about as U.S. citizens.
I like the way you think, Brandon, because that's sort of my point of view as well. You see everybody they're turning conspiracy in upon itself. There's one after another, one contradicting the other. But in the end, all that matters is what's going to happen because it's happened. And even Glenn Beck, of all people, said himself on his show that this is a major turning point in America, and it will define how we deal with terrorism, which is just another word for what we're doing right now. And so, that being said, they attempted to pass CISPA on the grounds that the guy the guy who orchestrated these attacks, supposedly, but we all know who really did it, but the guy who supposedly orchestrated these attacks got all of his information as to how to do it and why to do it on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, that's how propaganda operates, you know. And that's why I always try and tell people, there's a reason that I don't watch television. There's a reason I encourage everyone else to turn off their televisions and to seek alternative media and pursue information that is not, corporate-sponsored propaganda. And that's, when we see an event happen on TV, I'm not even suggesting it's 100% false. What I am saying is how propaganda operates is you're seeing what they want you to see, you're hearing what they want you to hear to condition you, to prepare you for accepting policies and remaining obedient to what it is they're doing. And that's how propaganda is and always has been since civilization has, we can go to ancient Rome, we can go to ancient Greece, we can see this pattern that has been consistent.
Well, the problem with mankind is that we are born in generations, so eventually we forget our history unless it is clearly written down. They control that too.
Doesn't even matter.
Oh, no, there's
the facts
a problem
are
with
irrelevant.
Oh crap! Don't tell me that. Anyway, that being said, the news media is nothing more than propaganda. Yo, Robo, we got a problem with this call, man. I don't know if I'm going to disconnect. We'll see where it goes. Can you still hear me, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But anyway, the problem with the news media is it has nothing to do with the news. I've watched the news quite a bit in my life. In fact, I used to spend copious amounts of time watching it. And I've never seen a news story aired. Not one. The only story I've ever seen in the media that was actually newsworthy was what happened on 9/11. And, of course, they turned that around, too. The news media, all media, everything is owned by 4 corporations, and corporations look out for the corporation. They don't care about you unless you're giving them a buck. That being said, we have talk radio in America. All talk radio, unless it's local, is syndicated by premier radio networks, which means that they too are controlled, and whoever controls premier controls the airwaves, which is why I recommend busting out jams on the ham radio. But that being said, what you're getting on TV is strictly either entertainment or, well, I hate to be so, paranoid, but brainwash. Now, to the average brainwashed individual, this brainwashing phenomenon appears normal, and so they believe that it is news. However, when you stoop to our level, and by stoop, I mean when you rise to our level, you begin to look down at these people watching their TVs, and you're thinking, well, I've always thought it. I've always been on that level, but as far as everybody else goes, I'm like, man, you'd have to be taking drugs to get this shit. I can't watch the news anymore. It doesn't work, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's. I think it's good. You have to get into the mindset where you're looking at these people as victims, and they are people who have been propagandized. I mean, you've got to understand that their view on reality is so far from reality that it's obviously going to come across as crazy to you because you know who the players are. I mean, we've got people listening to these propaganda broadcasts who have no idea that, okay, for example, I mean, in my book I talk about it, who owns the mainstream news, I mean, if you look at the interlocking board members they have with companies such as ExxonMobil, Chevron, all the huge oil companies that made money off the wars they sold us. I mean, that's how I knew, how I connected the dots when I realized that They lied about 9/11. They lied about the Iraq War. They lied about Afghanistan. They lie everywhere they go.
I know people in my family. I know what you're saying, brother, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it just hit me today. My mother, my very own parents. I talked to them about this morning. I said, listen, what you think about what's going on in Watertown right now? Because before you tell me, I got to tell you what I think, because that's just, unfortunately, who I am. I said, I think that it is unbelievable that they would lock down an entire town for a 19-year-old boy, which, by the way, I say boy because he's 1 year younger than I am. I'm 20 years old, man. This dude blew something up, but they locked down an entire town and held people at gunpoint. Now, presenting that information to my parents, they say, oh, that's, I fully support it. That's what you have to do when you're finding a terrorist. In fact, if it happened again, I fully support them doing it again. I'm like, sheeple, clapping and cheering for martial law. And I say, but they had no idea. And they say, oh, people weren't harmed. People weren't, And I'm like, I have video on my computer.
We all do, man.
Yeah, people being held at gunpoint and a cop stealing milk from someone's home. And then I read a news article the other day.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it said Boston police officer delivering milk to person's home during martial law or whatever. And I'm like, delivering? That's kind of a turnaround, isn't it? You mean he took it and he brought it back? It's crazy, man.
It's kind of like the problem with America, man. Fundamentally, when we're talking, you can call them sheeple. I try to avoid those terms because, again, I try to view these people as victims, as they rightfully are. Most of them are victims. For whatever reason, we can argue about the semantical details, why they're choosing. Some people choose to be ignorant. Others are just too terrified to confront the truth, so they have to point and wave their finger and do the little blame game. You guys are the ones who are crazy. We're the ones who are sane. But the fact of the matter is, man, most Americans don't have a very defined concept of what it means to be free. And that's why if you, obviously, after 9/11, you look at the Patriot Act, you look at our rights being exponentially taken from us, people don't, you know what I mean? It's like when you misplace something and you don't realize right away that you misplaced it. You realize it when you go to look for it that you misplaced it, right? Like, you just got done, you know what I mean? You just got, you drove to the store, you came back to your house, you misplaced your car keys. You don't know in that initial second.
I'll tell you right now, brother, I unfortunately only experienced 6 years of what our country was like before it was taken over by this terrorist mindset. I was born into this world the way it is now, but I know what it's like to be free.
Well,
because
the
I've
terrorist
experienced
mindset has been around long before 9/11, man. It's been around for a while.
Oh yeah, but after 9/11, it scared the shit out of people because they now believe that every single day they turn on the news, they're going to see a bombing or something. They're going to see an explosion done by Al-Qaeda. We're going to get them damn terrorists, Al-Qaeda. And I'm like, oh my God. Dude, do you know Al-Qaeda is just paid for by our government of one branch or intelligence agency or another?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I think if you've paid attention to what's going on in Syria now, and what went on in Libya, and obviously other countries in Africa, that's becoming more and more common. I mean, we're paying people to go in and destabilize countries, and I'm in total agreement there. But yeah, I mean, again, people have just become so disillusioned by propaganda that anytime you try and have a reasonable conversation, I mean, their flawed perception starts bumping against facts, and it just starts freaking them out. I mean, a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like they're drowning and they're just flailing, throwing their arms out, and you're trying to offer your hand to them, you're trying to pull them out, but they're fighting you. They don't want, you know what I mean? And that's just a natural reaction. If you understand psychology, when a current view is being challenged by an opposing view, and it's almost instinctual for their perception to...
Because what happens in the psychological sense is throughout our lives, in order to understand reality, we must create a sort of a system of belief. Now, when something targets that system of belief and says, you're wrong, the natural human response is to defend that system of belief because it's all that they know. It's hard to let go. I don't like to think of things on terms of psychology, but in a sense, you're right for saying it because I've had it happen to me all the time. I tell people, listen, I know this is your point of view, but open your mind, if not entertain the possibility that you might be wrong and that this is what's going on behind the scenes. But they won't even look at the evidence. Like what I was saying with my parents, I said, I have video proving what I'm saying. They're like, nah, there's no video out there. I'm like, are you sure? I do this 16 hours out of a day on the weekends. I think I know what I'm talking about. How many minutes of a day have you spent doing this? 0.
Well, that's the point, too, that I wanted to bring up as far as propaganda goes, and that's the most unfortunate fact that propaganda has what it has translated to in individual minds and the responses you're seeing from people you talk to. Propaganda has destroyed 2 things for the average person. One, it has destroyed conviction, and the other thing it's destroyed is credibility. And what I mean by that is, you don't even have to go to alternative sources. You know, a lot of people ask you, did you get that from the internet? Where'd you get that? What are your sources? But all you've got to do is watch Fox News every day to realize you're being lied to. They tell you one thing one day, then the next day the story changes. It's completely different. It's flipped on its side. It's a 90-degree change. Then it's 180. It's a complete 180-degree change. And you're literally being fed things that just yesterday were completely irrelevant. I mean,
I am confused. I used to get really pissed off with Fox News or any news.
Well, it's not just Fox. Yeah, exactly. They're all doing it.
I would turn on that program, and you would think as if the world had utterly stopped for that one news report. The whole world keeps turning. People are dying. Things are blowing up. We're at war. But here is the story of the day. Rihanna got hit by a car or something. She didn't. I wouldn't have a problem if she did, but if she did, that would be the one thing that they would talk about.
Well, yeah, you're talking about well, they obviously use different tactics, but what I'm talking about, man, let's look at the Boston Marathon, this being the most recent. I mean, look at the conflicting reports. I mean, it's the same thing they did in Sandy Hook, you know? It's, look, the mother worked there. Oh, the mother did not work there. Oh, he had the gun on him. The gun was in the trunk.
They're master bullshit artists. They have to make it up as they go. The thing is, the people who sit in front of that screen and report the story have no idea what's going on, and they never do. What they do is they sit in front of a teleprompter, and they are given what they are going to report. They aren't even the yes men. They aren't even the reporter. They are the news anchor. They are fed information, and you can't blame them for what they're reading because they don't know what they're reading. They're just actors reading off of a script and telling you what it is going on in sort of like a, in the right tone. They don't know what's going on. They don't even know if it's true, and I'm sure half of them are like, it's bullshit.
Well, again, and that's what I was trying to communicate. They've stripped their viewers of conviction and credibility, and what I mean by that is if you can stomach watching this crap, if you haven't figured it out, I mean, if I can lie to you right to your face every day, and I can change the story on you and tell you the complete opposite of what I told you the day before, what does that say about you as an individual? You don't even care. You have no concern for what's real. You have no concern for consistency. You have no concern for credibility. And what that has done to America on a broader scale, they have created a society that has no desire to pursue what is true.
I'll tell you listening about that,
and that's the big, you know what I mean? That's the end game.
When they control the information, what you get is all you get. And that being said, people don't even care anymore because 20% of Americans are on psychotropics or antidepressants for that matter, which of course may be particularly one of the main reasons why Sandy Hook took place, if it even took place, because according to my sources, Adam Lanza doesn't even exist. He died a day before the incident took place, according to Social Security. People are drugged up. Their kids are drugged up because they're drugged up. And then they look, You get the point, man. Consciousness.
Well, I don't know how much of the people are on those type of drugs. I would have to Google that. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm pretty sure.
I do know for a fact that 20%, 15 to 20% of Americans have taken or are taking antidepressants.
So you're still talking about a minority, but what I'm talking about is a majority. I mean,
you're right, brother.
The problem is, though, again, if people can keep watching this crap, they're treating it like a reality TV show. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, and that's the problem. People are really detached.
And you're treating real events or what you think is real like it's a reality TV show. Hey, let's get the popcorn up, let's get a beer out, let's watch the news. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. And this is what they have done, and they have succeeded at doing. It's very, very simple to understand. You can explain it very simply.
Well, the thing is that what people can do now is they can go to work in the morning. They can do their job, get paid to do it, go home, and at the end of the day, they're too emotionally drained to even care. But what they do see is they see a remote, they turn on the TV, and they flip on CNN. It's a bunch of bombings and shit, which is enough to bring you down. But to be honest, they really don't care. It's almost it's kind of hard to describe. It's almost as if we are being bombarded to the point where we have to dissociate in order to deal with it. And that's why it's a reality TV show, because it's on TV. It's on a plastic LCD screen. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. So it doesn't seem real. It seems like a video game.
Well, yeah, and that's all, again, on the broader scheme of things, it's all about manufacturing apathy. I mean, that's what propaganda does. Well, and when you understand it that way, I mean, again, they're wanting people, they're keeping you in your seat, they're keeping you entertained, and they're keeping you out of touch with reality, and that's what propaganda does. And because, even like, what was it, George H.W. Bush even told, he's famous with that quote, he said, if the American people knew what we did, they would lynch us. That's what he said. Didn't he say that quote?
Hey, who was it again?
It was George H.W. Bush.
George H.W. Bush.
Bush Senior, yeah.
Oh, that dude was nuts.
No, his son was.
We have a second correspondent new to the show here today. Speak up, Harrier Canadian.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You might want to speak up just a little bit, but I can hear you.
How's it going, boy? This is the first time I ever sat in on anything like this.
Well, I've called you in here today. I'm looking to see what you got, at least for information, what's going on. I want to get your point of view. It was a bit last minute, I know. I don't even know you, but I do know that I'm looking for people like yourself to give me some information from where they're at, and add on to the show. So that being said, how you doing today, and what's your take?
Well, I'm up here in Canada, and we're getting the brunt of this economy effect, too, because apparently here in where we're at, we got a big booming oil industry, and they're here laying off people in the government like crazy. So, I mean, the federal government hit us hard, the provincial government nailed us down. We're just waiting for the city to drop the hammer next. So I can imagine what things are going to be like before the end of this summer is going to be out, and I think it's going to surprise a lot of people.
Wow. Down here in America, our economy is a bit different. It's, they say 7.7 unemployment. In the state of Maine, it's 7.5, and Detroit, it's about 10.5.
But that's only the people that's actually on unemployment. I mean,
right, I know, that's my point. The people who are not applicable for unemployment nor SSI or other benefits, it's probably like 25%.
Yeah, because the people are going on welfare, basically.
Did you know that 1 in 5 Americans are actually on food stamps right now? 1 in 5. That is 1/5 for those on the metric system. Anyway, 1/5 of 360 million people. Do the math. It's quite a bit.
It's heavy duty, and it's going to get worse, and it's got to get worse before it gets better. That's what
72 million. 72 million people on food stamps right now.
That's not this number, no. Actually, I heard numbers higher than that, to be honest with you. Now, I mean, everybody gets a different number, but I've heard higher numbers than that.
What, brother?
I've heard higher numbers than the numbers you just gave them for food stamps, right?
Well, they say 1 in 5, but you and I both know that what they say and what's really going on are two different stories.
Yeah, because I've got an actual number now. Again, everybody's getting different numbers, but I got a number of 41% almost. They're stating around 41% of people who are
Jesus
unemployed.
Christ! And you know what else? And you know what else, brother? The people with the food stamps, the people with the OSHA, DHS are actually trying to get more people on food stamps. Now I have my own theories about that. Trying to get the people to rely on the government to reduce the dissident factor, the rebellious factor. Well, why would I rebel against my government? They're feeding me.
Well, if they're planning on locking people up, because I'm after reading about a lot of these FEMA camps, and basically the government's best off getting people to be dependent on it. So when the hammer drops, well, it's easier for them to shove them in to a place.
Back in the day, about 3 years ago, four and a half years ago, when I started this, I didn't believe it was going to happen. Yeah, I was paranoid and I was ready for it, but it came to the point in my life where I was just like, it hasn't happened yet, it's not going to happen. But now with what I'm seeing a lot of what I was getting into 3 years ago actually starting to play out as they said it would with CISPA and the FEMA camps. The FEMA camps, let me tell you about the FEMA camps. We've got one here in Halton, Maine. Halton is way up north near the border of Canada. I don't know where you're at, but that's like near the border, like near Quebec. But these FEMA camps are, not all of them are legit. There are some of them out there that they said were FEMA camps, but they weren't. But basically, with what's going on in Boston, that's a clear example that they can shut down cities. And if they decide to do so on a national scale, they're going to shut down cities, relocate people, and pop them out there in the FEMA camps and see who lives and see who dies kind of scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's like you say, when you're talking about the food stamps, they want the government to be dependent on everybody, right? So when it comes down to it, people are not going to know what to do, so they're going to have to follow along with what feels safe.
See, it's that big brother, maybe daddy complex that people have. We move out of our parents' house only to move into our government's house. So we never really find ourselves becoming independent. We just find a new parent, and with that, we're being provided for. At least 41% of Americans are being provided for. Now, what makes you think a 41%er is going to want to fight back, especially if they have no problem with what's going on? A lot of people on food stamps, I'm not going to lie, I'd say half the people on food stamps right now want to blow shit up, but the other half are just freaking dandy with it. They're okay. They're happy being provided for, and so they have no reason to stand up until, of course, they're in line to a camp and they are forced to stand up and walk into their meat grinder.
What do you think of Ron Paul?
I think Rand Paul or Ron Paul?
Ron Paul, his father, the older father.
Yeah, because Rand Paul is a joke. The apple fell far from the tree in that with him.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Ron Paul was the only legitimate and consistent politician that was ever in the White House, or in Senate, Congress. But that being said, he's no longer in Congress. Ron Paul signed out with a very blunt message to Congress. And in the, 20, I don't know how many years he had been doing what he was doing, but in the time that he had been doing it, he had, if you look it up, had preached the same message over and over again over the 20, 30 years he'd been doing it. And that message only advanced, it only developed as the man develops. But the rest of them are inconsistent, they make their shit up as they go, and they're just paid off. This dude, he went out with the word authoritarian psychopaths in mind. That being said, he's gone, and now it's just us. We have nobody to look up to in Congress or Senate or otherwise. It's just us.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had to leave. I think he would have made a hell of a president.
If he made it, I'm not going to. No, he wouldn't have made a hell of a president, because the second he became president, he would be conveniently assassinated by some random crazy person hired by the CIA or FBI, or these days, more likely, DHS.
I totally agree with you.
It doesn't matter if you're president. You see, the thing is, nobody will make a hell of a president because the president has no power. nobody will make a hell of a congressman or a senator or a house because they don't have any power as an individual. Everything as a every part of our government as a majority is controlled, and so if somebody like you or me steps in, they're squashed by a big elephant like an elephant stepping on a bug. And there is really no way of entering into office and actually changing the administration. It has to. I don't know. I don't know what you could do to change our political system.
A total overthrow of government. But again, you got to have a government put in there. So what type of government would work?
Well, I hate to sound like an anarchist, but this is just my point of view. No government. The destruction of government, maybe lesser government. Our government is now at this point, and has been since the 1970s, is too powerful to change. The only way to eradicate is to eliminate, and we are not promoting that here. So there is really no way. What we can do, however, is get on the radio and talk about it. Wake up as many people as we can, because I foresee now at this point our country in martial law. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I am saying it's very likely at this point. They've been doing this for about a year. 5 mass shootings, situation in North Korea, Boston bombing, Waco, the second, as I call it, because it's the second time our government has blown up Waco. Of course, this time it was by Monsanto, but anyway. With Sandy Hook, Hurricane Sandy, Storm Draco, all of which was orchestrated by HARP, most definitely. And now the situation in Boston, I see it leading towards a bit of a martial law, if not pseudo martial law scenario, a police state. I
was listening to or watching a couple of videos from Ron Palder within the last couple of days. He released videos like a number of years back, foretelling what was happening today. So the guy really had his facts straight. He done good research because he knew what he was talking about, right? Actually, I could actually send you that video later, but I mean, it's interesting how it was all put together. I think it was uploaded in 2001 or 2000, and it's telling exact what's going on today and how it's going on, right?
Well,
and it's been that long back, so I mean, it's almost like you're talking to someone who could foretell the future, and the actual video that I watched is like it was made today.
You're not really foretelling the future. You're just seeing how it plays out. You see, unfortunately, and most people don't seem to get this, they say, why would they do that if we know they did it? Why would they follow the same MO? And the answer is because it works. What they do is extremely complicated. So if the same MO works, it works. And so they follow a pattern. And that is why we are able, through these videos, to predict what's going to happen next. And I'm not one for study. And with the pattern that I'm seeing, I would say in a matter of maybe, I'm going to give it at most, by the end of Barack Obama's presidency, if there is an end to Obama's presidency, we will be living in some sort of a police state. The only problem is, police state isn't something you're aware of. Okay, you're not. People always picture, lockdown cities, prison planet cities, like you see in Endgame, Alex Jones' documentary. But it's not like that. It never will be, because people would revolt. Everybody's seen 1984. It wouldn't work. So what they're going to do is give the police, the military, they're going to make it look or appear to the average so-called free citizen. They're going to make it appear as if they were free, as much as they possibly can. But if one steps out of line, they will be given absolute permission to kill on spot, or take away, put into a camp, and nobody ever sees you again. We're going to appear to be a really, really free society until somebody actually attempts to be free. We have the freedom to choose McDonald's, Burger King, Republican, Democrat, but should we choose Libertarian, should we choose, homegrown burger, go to frickin' Joey D's down the road, pick up a Big Mac or, whatever he's making, then we're going to have some real issues because that wasn't approved by the corporation. And so you will be targeted as a terrorist. You get the idea. We can walk amongst the paths that they set for us, but we can't walk off the beaten path and venture off into the woods.
Actually, I was reading a story here. Actually, it was on YouTube. There was a video released about a lady here in Canada. She was she had what you call a natural farm. She was raising natural stock, whatever. There was no, no drugs, no GMO, none of that stuff. And apparently the Canadian authorities came in and shut her down. They started slaughtering off her animals and everything. She's now charged, apparently, with, I forget the actual charge, but it's basically, it's got to do with cow milk and stuff like that. But, I mean, they're going after her and a bunch of her neighbors. I released it there on Facebook on my
blog. Do these people associate themselves with Monsanto?
Oh, I'm not really sure, but they're apparently from the Canadian Food and Drug Agency or whatever it is, right? Because I was surprised it was actually in Canada. So I'm not really surprised, but I mean surprised to the degree that, it's actually coming alive here now in Canada. Because they're trying to pass a law here now for the Terrorism Act like also with the internet. They're trying to push that through to get the right to go to the internet. And also, right now, I didn't realize it, but apparently in Canada now, they get a CSIS is what we got up here compared to your guys. All you got to do is put what they call a certificate on you, which is basically flagging you for terrorism. And they can actually now arrest you and put you in jail for up to a year without charges or without even releasing any information.
That is some scary shit, brother.
Yeah, I passed over in Canada, I mean, I knew things were getting strange in the States, but I mean, the way I look at it, Canada and the United States, just because we're split because of a border, it doesn't matter.
Well, there is no border. The border is just for the maps. We are now a part of the North American Union. The problem is they can't call it NAU or pass a different currency because they know the people will freak out. But that being said, like what I was saying with Monsanto wants to eliminate the organic farmer because they're invested with the government, and the government wants to do so as well. And the Monsanto and the government is hand in hand, and Monsanto doesn't like competition, and the government doesn't like a free people. So they sick their Monsanto dogs on the organic farmer and try to shut him down because they know organic is not toxic, and it sure as hell doesn't hurt your IQ. So that's very, very bad for you. You are a terrorist. We are trying to protect you from all those natural foods. Here, eat our GMOs.
Yeah, it's crazy, actually. It blew my mind when I read the article. It's just, I'm shocked. I live in Newfoundland. We're on the very east coast of North America.
You're in Quebec right now, right?
No, I'm in Newfoundland, actually.
Newfoundland.
I'm in Ireland.
Boy, I love Newfoundland. I've been there.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, dude. That island. You got that pink on your flag, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I went over there once. You guys are real cool, man. Took a ferry from Nova Scotia over to Newfoundland, and man, those were the days, man.
Yeah, it's a good spot over there. The government is just as corrupt as the rest of them, but it's a good spot, especially in the summertime. Wow.
Good times, man. But yeah, I mean, wow, got me off track there for a minute. But yeah, Monsanto and the government, like, these guys, I say it over and over again, because the people selling chicken nuggets or dealing drugs, they have control over the FDA, they have control over everything. The former head honcho of Monsanto is the head of the FDA.
Yeah, that flipped me right out when I see that he was an attorney or something, the lawyer for a Monsanto or something. When he came over, I think he went to the FDA twice, wasn't he?
He was the vice president. Michael Taylor.
Okay.
He's now the deputy commissioner for the FDA.
I'm talking about an African guy.
I don't know, brother. I'll have to do my research on that. But, well, I mean, Monsanto is an extremely corrupt organization. We have a milk company up here called Oakhurst in Maine. Oakhurst labels their milk with non-GMO, non-growth hormones added. We say, this milk is made without growth hormones. Now, Monsanto tried to sue them for everything they had because they put that label on there. Monsanto's justification for the lawsuit was that it made them look bad. Which, of course, implies that they do use growth hormones and they don't want to be made look bad by a company that doesn't and labels it as such. Of course, Oakhurst won that lawsuit because that's complete bullshit. And they continue to put that label on there to this day, which is why I buy Oakhurst milk. Because they were sued by Monsanto. And, by the way, I would advise everybody, no matter where you are, y'all in the UK, y'all in America or Canada or even Mexico, if you see Monsanto logo on any of your products, just make sure you salute to the people down below before you chuck it out the window. You know what I mean, brother? Because it's Monsanto and ConAgra are the people most responsible for the E. coli outbreaks here in America, the salmonella outbreaks, which is why Monsanto was given permission by the government, by the by Senate, to write the Monsanto Protection Act, which means if they kill somebody with their product, doesn't matter, they're not liable for it anymore, which gives them complete permission to make anything, any way they want, no matter how contaminated or how unhealthy, even if it kills you. So do not eat anything by Monsanto, because it, at this point, is not even safe.
Actually, they're trying to bring in the alfalfa plant, Monsanto, here to Canada. There's a big uproar up here now about it.
Monsanto runs Canada, too?
Well, I watched a story there a little while ago. Some of the farmers up there had some problems with them, but I know now, it was only recently, in the last few days, I heard on the news that there's a big uproar because they're trying to bring in the alfalfa GMO. And they don't want nothing to do with it. Apparently, I'm after hearing now there's 8 countries now in Europe after banning this. They're burning fields and everything. And apparently, there's a big push in Europe to get rid of it.
What is it called? Alfalfa?
Alfalfa plant. Yeah, that's what they're calling it up here, alfalfa, right?
Huh. Is it because it makes your hair stand up?
I'm not really sure. Well, I think it's just it's almost like a weed or something, right? I believe it's for cow feed. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, I've seen bananas out there that are genetically modified just to make the colors brighter. I've seen watermelons genetically modified to not to grow without seeds. Not sure why. Just
sure.
I guess they thought it'd be a fun idea. But
believe it or not, Japan, this sounds crazy, but they actually grow watermelons now genetically modified, square, so they can stack them better in
canola.
It's crazy.
Rapeseed, canola. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Monsanto actually genetically modifies chickens so badly so that their breasts are so large that they can't breathe or walk or sustain their own existence.
We get our chickens from the farm here, so I'm happy with that. But it's not going to take too long before we start getting. The worst we got in our chickens right now is steroids. They get them ready for slaughter in 21 days, right?
That's that's fine by me compared to with the other shit they've got going on here. That is fine by me.
Try to buy things that are organic. I mean, you can avoid all of that.
Yeah, well, we do. There's a lot of small farmers around on the side. They're a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it, right?
Yeah, because of the labeling and other, having to go through the processes, it is more expensive. But at least you're not putting toxic stuff into your body.
Unfortunately, brother, that's the reason why they're trying to get so many people on food stamps. Because when you're on food stamps, you can't afford to buy organic, even if the option is presented. Organic, like a 12 carton of eggs, organic eggs, are $5.49 here in Maine. A carton of the straight up eggs are $1.29. Now, if you had $200 a month to survive off of, plus maybe $50 for a couple kids, which one would you buy?
Yeah, they're trying to restrict. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, but for those who have who have jobs, and for those who are self-sufficient, of which there are very few and far between, I recommend you go organic, because at this point it's the only safe route if you want to live past your 50th birthday.
Yeah, really. So, what about the Boston bombing? I got a couple.
Well, with Boston, Boston is clearly a false flag event. Boston I don't know if you've heard of this, but about on the 15th of April, Patriots Day, tax day, a bomb was detonated at 600 Boylston Street, which is the library, the Boston Public Library, but according to the press, it's the JFK Library, which is just like a half a block away. Either way, so the bomb goes off, and it's at the end of the Boston Marathon, which takes place, I don't know when, but at the finish line, the bomb goes off and kills a few people. And right off when that happened, I knew right away it was a false flag, especially for the day it took place, on the 15th, when we were all supposed to be apparently taken out by a nuke, by North Korea. Said, North Korea is preparing for a nuclear attack on the 15th, and then when a bomb went off in Boston, I'm like, wow.
Can I say
Everybody
something?
thought we were going to die today, and everybody's, they were on edge, and then the bomb goes off in Boston, and I just knew it was set up.
I got a question to ask you.
All right.
All right. Have you seen the Facebook page for the memorial of the nuclear bomb disaster in California for April 28th? That's tomorrow.
Nuclear bomb disaster.
There's a memorial page set up on Facebook. All right, I see this a couple times. I'm going to try to go into it again here now. But there's an actual Facebook page set up for the memorial of the nuclear disaster, nuclear bomb in L.A. on the 28th of April. And I'm going to...
The fuck?
I know. It was the creepiest thing I see, honest to God.
Dude, when that kind of stuff happens, you need to send me that link. I need to trace its source.
Yeah,
that may be a phone. That may be a fake. That may be something set up. But if that's legit, we're all in a lot of trouble tomorrow.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm just hoping this is all a big, a big practical joke. Because I'm after hearing
I
about
hope
that.
it is, brother.
Oh, because when I heard about the Sandy Brook, they had one set up before that apparently, right? And I see this, and I said, yeah. Hey, I'm on the East Coast, and that still made me sick.
Well, they had a Facebook account set up for Sandy Hook. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did. They had a donation page set up before it even went down.
Yeah, they were saying how sorry they were for the people who got killed, and all that. I never actually see that page. I heard about it, but now when I see this one, this just creeped me right out, because I was viewing it. I wasn't being told about this on the media, right?
Yeah, send me that link, brother, because I've got to see this.
Yeah, that definitely sounds intriguing.
Oh, yeah, really. All right, I'm looking for it here now. I just thinking about it. It's getting me blood going, right? But I got it here because I sent it to a couple of boys, and it kind of freaked everybody out.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard of that.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Actually,
I'm very interested in
even if you went to YouTube and you typed in, Memorial for Nuclear Disaster, L.A., April 28th, there's a bunch of videos and all that on it. But I'm going to try to find the actual page here. Now, I got it here. I know I bookmarked it. I just got a bunch of different folders.
That might be what they're working towards. I'm not going to point any. I hear nuke it all day long, and if any bomb were to be
here it is. Oh my God!
Dropped, it would be an atom bomb, and I don't even know if they still have those. They probably do though.
Memorial for Nuke event in L.A. April 28th. I'm going to shove it up now on Skype there, and you can have a look.
Huh. We should be dropping some love bombs.
That
kind of radiation that would spread far and wide. Unfortunately, people are far more interested in spreading bullets rather than,
Is there any events?
Smiles.
Is there anything going on in LA tomorrow? Like, is there any special event or anything? Is it, what's the 28th? Like, someone had to have something in their head to do this for a certain date at a certain place.
Huh. Well, maybe they're just blowing pink and green and purple smoke out their ass. Who knows?
Oh, hopefully so, but it's just a really weird thing to say, right?
Yeah, well, nobody knows about that except a few people like yourself and now I. So the fact that nobody knows about it points towards the fact that nobody's supposed to know about it. Because what we know on InfoWars, we know about. What we get from CNN, we're being told. But what we don't know is what's going on right now. That's the scariest information of them all. Because
creepy. Weird. I'll put it all together, whatever you want to say about it. I'm not going to like the page, right? 'Cause I can't like it.
Well, whatever's going on, we're about to find out in 24 hours, I guess. But with the situation in Boston, hey, brother, did you hear? Apparently, some landing gear was found lodged between, or lowered between, two buildings in New York. Now I have to think. It's convenient. It's convenient. It's convenient that there was a landing gear found between two something associating physical evidence associating itself with 9/11 found what's the date today? Wow. Found a week and a half after the Boston incident. Now, what do you think about that, brother? Are people so blinded that they walk at 8.6 million people walking by these buildings every day in the city of New York, but yet nobody noticed the landing gear? Or is it that it was just recently positioned there in order to bring back repressed memories or suppressed memories from that fake?
What do you mean by landing gear? What are we talking about? I've not heard anything about this.
Oh, wow. Then you're about to get your mind blown. Apparently, as of last night, I heard on Fox News Radio, a landing gear from the plane, 9/11 plane crashed into the towers, was found 3 blocks away from Ground Zero, lodged between two buildings. I, of course, am in the subscribed to the theory that maybe it was lowered down there, or maybe it really was, but what are we doing searching between these two buildings conveniently to a week and a half looking for landing gear? It's just too perfect, man. It's too perfect.
Wow, actually.
Oh yeah, look it up, Brandon. It's no shit. They found it's apparent, and by the looks of it, it is quite old. But I mean, you can find any landing gear at any plane graveyard and put it down there. I'm not going to say what happened because I don't know. They would.
I'll have to look into that.
Well, we've got about 7 minutes here, folks. With everybody, I'd like to close out here. But for all everybody, we all need to wake up here. We need to wake up.
I knew something was smelling at 9/11. I knew something about 2 weeks later because we got a bunch of different documentaries up here than what's being broadcast down the States, right?
Well, documentaries. I'd advise everybody who doesn't really fully subscribe to the 9/11 theory, as they call it, conspiracy theory, to go on YouTube right now and type in 9/11 coincidences, part 1 through 18. That was the first video I ever watched pertaining to what they call conspiracy. And after I watched that video, my entire point of view really changed on the subject because it is scientific, hardcore evidence by architects and engineers that 9/11 was orchestrated. Like, for instance, Building 7. The building collapsed inward upon itself at free fall speed. But I'm not going to go into detail. Y'all can check it out if you want.
Hey, I got a video right here right now with a missile. You can actually see the missile strike the Pentagon.
Perry, you're Canadian. You've got to send me that link to Facebook.
Okay, I just put them up on the Skype thing. I thought you got them.
Do me a solid. Try to put it down there again. Hold on. Try to put it through the Skype. I'm going to add somebody in here last minute. Hopefully I can get him in here.
Because I got it on Fox 9 or chat thing.
We've got Barry Prince out of British Columbia for the last 5 minutes here. Barry, we're on the last 5 minutes. Barry, what's going on?
How you doing, Fox? I just got in the door. I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
It's all good, man. We're finishing up here. We're on our last 5 minutes, but we're talking about the landing gear that was just discovered or put between two buildings in New York. Quickly, in a few minutes, sum up. What do you think about that?
All I can say is distraction. That's all it is, Fox. It's a distraction.
I honestly think it has to do with a week and a half after 9/11, after Boston. They know how to tweak our emotions, and in fact, it's called tweaking. It's called featuring. News media features stories in order to affect our emotions. So they put a story like that on there because people start in the back of their minds thinking about what went down on 9/11. And that in association with what's going on now. Both things in the news media, you connect the dots and boom, we're thinking terrorism again. We're thinking our lives are in danger. We are thinking that the whole thing is that we got to invade. You get the idea.
Yeah. It's just it's using emotion to smear out the fear or smooth out the fear is all they're doing. You know.
Oh, definitely.
When you think about
that's all they're doing.
That's all they're doing. Yeah, no, I'm pretty appalled with that news story, man. But you could have figured that was coming because they do need a distraction.
Well, they everything on the news is a distraction. I think that's a really broad term at this point because I've never actually seen a story on the news that could be qualified as news. That's why I don't watch the news, because it has nothing to do with the news. CNN is Cable News Network, but I call it CPN for Cable Propaganda Network. Please tune in for Nancy Grace. And now, a
pretty
word
strange.
from Bubba J. Freeloader. You guys met Bubba J. Freeloader? Hold on a sec. You know what? Fuck Bubba J. Freeloader. It's a voice I do. Forget it. The point is, guys, I think y'all conspiracy theorists need to get alive. I think y'all just a bunch of Democrats trying to support that liberal agenda. Y'all great. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna wrap up here. We got about 2 minutes here. For anybody who has something they want to say, please do get it in.
All right, I got 3 of those links. I'll send them to you in your email, you know?
Email. You sent that to me on Facebook?
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's why I didn't get it here on Skype.
No. I sent it to Skype. I done it to the Fox 9 or chat box there, but apparently nobody picking up on it.
Oh, we just lost Brandon. Brandon, I think he didn't like my hillbilly imitation. Damn it. Today's just not my day. Well, listen, guys. It's been good talking to you. This is straight from Canada and straight from the border of Canada. This is Truth Radio Network with Fox News or Fox News or Fuck You News. We'll catch you guys later, all right? And it's been good. It's been real good. This is Perrier Canadian and Barry Prince. We're signing out now. From somewhere out there, this is Truth. And that's it.
Have a good night.
Cut.